Hi, it's Susan. Welcome back to another episode of Walk and Talk in My Garden. I don't suppose it will be in the garden all the time. Sometimes it will be up in the studio because eventually, hopefully, we're going to get some rain or it's going to get super cold. And I'm just not going to be out here because I don't like to be cold. Who likes to be super cold? Anyway, this is some of my California poppies. And how wonderful it is to see them all sprouting, except that it's November. And they're not supposed to be sprouting now. They're supposed to be sprouting in the spring. And honestly, I don't know if I'm going to get to see any of my wonderful orange blooms on them this year, or at least on these. I have a feeling that once we start getting the frosts, we're going to lose all of these, which means that I will never get to see those beautiful bright orange poppies come to life. And that makes me kind of sad because, there's potential, right? There's so much potential there for these little tiny things to come up and bloom into these beautiful bouquets of orange flowers that I love, that the bees love. I mean, the bumblebees curl up in them. It's just wonderful to see these things bloom. But they might not bloom. They might just die. And how does that relate to art? Well, there's a lot of projects that I do that never see the light of day. They never bloom. And, that makes me kind of sad sometimes. If I think about it, it's like, well, why am I bothering to spend the time doing all this stuff? Because, it's never going to happen. It's never going to get finished. Sometimes things don't get finished just because I don't finish them. I'm bad about that. Sometimes they don't get finished because I can't figure out how to do something. I don't know what it's supposed to be. And sometimes projects just die for the lack of love. Projects need love. We need to put the time into them. And sometimes that love doesn't come in one sitting. We get this idea that we need to sit down and do art all at once, that we need to sit down at our desk and we're suddenly going to finish a project. 2 hours at our desk and boom, there we go. That new idea we had is just going to all come together. I don't know about you, but it doesn't work like that for me. For me, it takes a long time, sort of like building this garden. We weren't able just to come in and put stuff in the ground and instantly see it grow. We needed to prep the ground in a way, and we didn't prep the ground by breaking it up. If you saw my video yesterday, you'll know what I mean by that. We do not break up the soil. We let the microherds beneath us do the work. And sometimes with projects, we forget to let enough time go by for us to really get into it. Now, there's some things you can sit down, okay, I've made a tag a million times. I've made a journal a million times. I know how to, okay, maybe not a million times. Maybe we made 100 journals. Maybe we made 10 journals and we know how to do it. And we think, no problem, I'm going to sit down and make this next journal. But maybe this next journal, we want to go in a different direction. This next journal, we want to work in a color palette that we haven't done before. We want to push ourselves outside the box. So don't rush. Don't rush. Sit down at your desk and your workstation or wherever it is you create and just create in the moment. And don't worry about the finished project. And maybe it won't bloom. Maybe it's not going to become anything at all. And that's okay. Maybe the experience will teach you that, no, you really don't like that color palette. Or what happens with me is I start working on something and I get all these ideas for more somethings. And so that first initial project that started me thinking about it, maybe it doesn't bloom, but maybe it generates a lot of seeds. And there are a lot of seeds for future projects. And so I take those seeds and I toss them around in the garden in my brain. And one of those is going to take off and it's going to bloom for me. So don't worry about projects that never see the light of day. Don't worry if a project doesn't bloom for you. Put it aside, take the seeds it gives you, and go out and create something else. I'll see you tomorrow.